Tell a story about a time when you were glad you researched papers before signing them. When I was ripe to propose to my girlfriend, I asked for a ring at one fairly well-known jewelry store. I wanted to surprise her, but I realized that she would probably want to exchange the ring for another one, so I asked the employees in advance if I could get my $900 back. I was assured that I could. I proposed to her. My fiancé, as I suspected, found another ring at another store, so I went back to that store and asked for a refund. The employee looks at me and says, "No problem, just sign this first." I look at the little piece of paper she gives me, and I'm about to sign it, when suddenly I see in small print, "I acknowledge that this purchase is final and non-refundable." I look at the girl and ask, "Why should I sign this all of a sudden?" She put the paper away, called the manager, and he transferred the full amount to my card without any questions. If anyone is interested, it was at People's Jewelers in Vancouver. I'm a musician. They wanted me on a label once. The contract was written in very, very broken English. The whole document was soaked in idiocy, but I was particularly pleased with the following clauses. I had to give them my name. I had to give them the copyrights to all my old songs. If they didn't sell out all the physical copies of my music, I had to compensate for the losses out of my own pocket. Fuck them. Edit, since you ask, I'll leave a link to my Bandcamp. I do industrial, very noisy in places, so be prepared. I'm sorry we couldn't sell 12 million of your CDs. How do you think you're gonna pay for it? My husband and I were buying a house. My husband signed the papers right away, but I had some other things to do, so I was only able to arrive in the evening. I arrived and started looking at the loan application right away. Our lender sees this and says, "You know you don't have to read all that, right? Especially since your husband has already signed." I'm like, "Nah, I want to make sure it's the way I want it." And the next thing we know, we have a $250,000 paper loan at 25% interest. Oh, yeah, right. I didn't sign anything, and I got the hell out of there. The lender threatened to sue me, to which I replied that it was cheaper for me to sue than to pay his overheated interest. Since then, I have been the only one in charge of the mortgage. And this creditor, by the way, was a school friend of my husband. Please tell me you had a serious conversation with your husband. I would be furious if my husband signed such an important document without at least studying the main points. One time when I applied for a job, it was written in the contract that I would have to work for them for at least 4 years, or else the 4 years would count as training, which I would have to pay for out of my own pocket. A while ago, we got Wi-Fi at our school. When I first tried to connect to it, I noticed that the terms of the agreement stated that the school would be able to take my phone and examine its contents. I decided I didn't need it, and I still don't use it. Decided to buy a $200 phone with connectivity. The salesman told me that they were closing and that it would be more convenient if I came to sign the papers the next day. By morning, the amount on the contract, which had been sitting on the table all night, had miraculously changed from $200 to $300. I caught them at it and left for another store. My wife and I drove to the car dealership to register our first car. We were going to take it in installments because the salon had a special offer for recent university graduates, allowing them to take out a loan without additional interest. Their financier offered us 2 loan options, one for 3 years, the other for 5 years. While we were talking, he assured us in every possible way that both options were interest-free, so we agreed to the 5-year option to reduce the installments. Next, the same dude gives us papers and hurries us to sign them as soon as possible. But we're not completely stupid. We start reading the details. And what do you think? It turns out that the 5-year loan does not fall under their promotion, and that under this agreement we will have to overpay 6.5%. I think that's a lot more than zero. We got angry and started threatening to leave. Then they, realizing that now they would lose customers, made concessions to us and gave us a discount on the car. Man, how many graduates fall for this theme, signing papers blindly? The dude who rented me the apartment let me move out a month before our contract expired because he already had the next tenant in mind. All he needed was my written consent to move out early and one piece of paper that would change the terms of the original contract. When he brought it to me to sign, I decided to study it carefully because I knew that the guy had been in jail for fraud not too long ago. And I did the right thing because there was a clause that said that if something went wrong with the new tenant, I would stay on the hook and keep paying rent, even though I didn't live there anymore. When I caught him on that clause, he was like, "Oh yeah." I added that part to protect myself a little bit. And then he stole my deposit. Man, I should sue him already. I hate you, John. We were selling our business. My wife's car was registered to the company, but we were not going to sell it. When the lawyer came to us, we made it clear that we were selling everything except the car. Guess what was in the contract he sent us a week later? Thank goodness we read it carefully and managed to cross it out before the buyer got the paperwork. I found a job 350 miles away from home, family, and friends. The conditions were great. The interview went great. Plus, I just happened to meet a guy I worked with years ago. Everything seemed so cool that I rented an apartment within walking distance of work. Technically, I was already hired. All I had to do was bring in the signed papers. The day before I was supposed to hand them in, I decided to take a quick look at what I was getting myself into. And there were 3 obvious problems. I don't remember exactly what these points sounded like, but I'll try to paraphrase. The position you are applying for is the only position you may have with our company. Although you may have salary increases, you will never be promoted or change your position. We need people who are committed to their position. We do not provide any health insurance coverage. Your health is your responsibility. If you are fired or leave the company, you will not be able to work for a company with computers or internet access for the next year. I took a job there as a tech support analyst. The salary there was going to be great, but when I saw these points, I ran right out of there. And if you liked the video and you want to see such videos more often, put a like and write in the comments on what topic to make a video next time. Bye bye.